What's up, everybody? This is Thompson from Around the Association, the podcast, and this is the weekend wrap-up edition of the show. And yes, we kind of changed theme music up a little bit. Sometimes you guys switch things up to, try to spice up some things. So for the next few minutes or so, we're going to talk everything all NBA with recapping everything you missed over the last 48 hours in the NBA. And it was really a very interesting 40 hours in the entire league. You had in a stretch of games, you had the Golden State Warriors lose on Saturday night, which was the biggest story of the weekend. The Warriors played the Houston Rockets on national television. The Rockets didn't have James Harden, who was ill, wasn't playing. He got sick sometime on Friday, sometime going to Saturday, and he was out. Going on national television on the road, the Rockets, without the league's probably MVP of the league this season, going into Golden State and literally dominating from start to finish. They were up at one point, I think, as much as 18-3 in the first quarter, and they just literally put their foots to the neck of the Golden State Warriors at home. In the game, Chris Paul says that in 2 or 3 days, we're not going to remember. Well, let's just say this. This just shows how good the Rockets have been, 1, 2, and how good the Rockets could be. Because over the last month, James Harden, over the last 31 plus games, James Harden has been on a streak that we haven't seen since Wilt Chamberlain. We're talking like over 30 points a game in 31 consecutive games. And you go into a game when you don't have your best offensive weapon, going against a team with the most offensive weapons in the NBA on the road. And Chris Paul was just magical getting the ball in the hands of everybody. Eric Gordon, I think, had 25 points in the game, knocked down some huge three-pointers throughout knocked down some huge three-pointers. And they got contributions from everybody. And guess what? They beat the Warriors on the road. Now, what does this mean in context? Because we're getting into March. Well, games like this I'd say they're tone setters. Because we all saw last year how much of a difference Chris Paul made in that Golden State series last year. When Paul goes out in game 5, gets hurt at the end of game 5, they couldn't win game 6 and game 7, up 3-2. If we all know Chris Paul plays any of those 2 games, the way the momentum was going, especially game 6 going back into Houston, who knew if the Warriors would be at the place where they are right now, talking about a three-peat? Well, on top of that, the Warriors just kind of shot themselves in the foot. They kind of played down to their opponents, and they didn't look like the team that is favorites to win the championship. Now, we all have nights like that, and the real question is, can you beat them 4 out of 7 times? Look, in any stretch, in any concept of basketball knowledge, the Houston Rockets without James Harden could not beat the Golden State Warriors 4 times in 7 games. It's one of those rare one-off occurrences where Steve Kerr's team was ill-prepared and played down to the opponent. But this does show a few things. Number 1, the Rockets does have some kind of depth. And 2, the Rockets are now getting healthy. Clint Capella's back in the lineup. Kenny Free has just been I'm not going to say a refreshing taste, but this is the Kenny Free that we've been seeing for years. Just the fact that he was stuck in a situation with Denver. They were going in a different direction. Brooklyn, where he wasn't used for some strange reason, but it is what it is. And now he's in a situation with Houston that he's getting minutes. He's actually playing really, really good basketball. He's looking like the Kenny Free that got that humongous contract in Denver in the first place. And we all know Houston can shoot the basketball. They have a ton of guys who can shoot it. And PJ Tucker has turned to one of the best corner three-point shooters in the entire league because he leads the NBA in that category. You give Chris Paul the reins of this offense, and when James Harden doesn't have to go James Harden, it makes the game easier. You saw how many wide open looks that the Rockets had with Chris Paul on the floor. Just imagine when James Harden is out there and those guys are hitting those shots, and the Rockets how much more dangerous the Rockets can be against the Warriors in a series like that. So when we're talking about teams in the Western Conference that have made the impact all season or can make one going down the road as we get towards April, we talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we'll get to them in just a second. You talk about the Denver Nuggets, who I'll get to in a second as well too, because they're the second best team in the Western Conference. But let's not forget the Houston Rockets were the best team in the Western Conference throughout the regular season last year. And, they had a chance, but one of the better teams regular season last year, rephrase that. And they were that close from being where they're supposed to be. Flip side of things, yes, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Paul George on Friday night, him and Russell Westbrook were phenomenal. I mean, Paul George looked more and more like an MVP candidate, and Russell Westbrook was just being Russell Westbrook when they took care of the Utah Jazz on Friday, but then turn right back around and then lose to the Sacramento Kings on Saturday. let's not get this twisted. The Thunder are going to be a problem in the playoffs. They added Markieff Morris, and when they get Markieff Morris healthy, he's going to be another huge piece to the equation out in Oklahoma City, because he brings another toughness, a guy who can knock down shots, a guy who's not going to back down to the Warriors in any type of series. But one thing people forget to realize is that without Andre Roberson, it's going to be a challenge. Now, Morris can't play defense and play the interior five, but when you get down to those nitty-gritty series, like I said, the Warriors and the Rockets, where you have dominant guys on the perimeter, they need Andre Roberson back. And you can tell while watching the Kings game tonight, because the Kings were getting a lot of shots, that they normally don't get. You look at how Buddy Hield and Bojan Bogdanovic can fire away from outside, and without that perimeter defender, it makes Paul George have to play both ways. And to be honest with you, the Thunder retired back to back. It happens those games. So, but let's just say when the Thunder at their best, you saw on Friday night, Paul George literally in a double overtime game, which is one of the best games of the season, by the way. So, and they've been some really good ones this week, but this might be the best game all season. George hit that teardrop floater over outstretched Rudy Gobert. How many times do we ever say over an outstretched Rudy Gobert and a non-block shot situation? It's very, very rare. Denver Nuggets this weekend, they solidified now a game behind the Golden State Warriors by just, throttling the LA Clippers on Sunday. But the Western Conference race is getting more and more interesting. This might not be the cakewalk that we're all thinking for Golden State to get to the finals. The Warriors, yes, they have the most talent. Yes, they do have five healthy All-Stars in the starting lineup. But Denver passes the ball very well. Paul Millsap was just everywhere on Sunday night against the Clippers. He was everywhere. Take away the 21 points and 16 rebounds. I think Mike Malone said in postgame, he had 18 shots where he contested. 18 contested shots. That's a huge number when you look at the grand scheme of things, because Millsap is known for being a guy that's very defensive, that can do different things when it comes to switching, when it comes to guarding people. He can guard a lot of twos, he can guard a lot of threes, he can guard a lot of fours, because he's at that age where he's just extremely smart. He might not have the foot speed he used to, but he's extremely a smart defender. And a team like Denver, we all know can score. You need as many smart and versatile guys on the defensive as possible. And they scored 120 plus points today, and Will Barton only had like 3 points today. That should tell you something. We all know if you watch Will Barton enough, Will Barton will catch fire in a second. So the more different options you have when Will Barton's not scoring makes things a lot easier. The Western Conference is a little bit more top heavy. Now we switch over things to the East. The East have a lot of interesting things going on in the East. We saw the Orlando Magic over the weekend blow out, and I say blow out, the Toronto Raptors on Sunday, who did not have Kawhi Leonard. Even without Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors were 13-3 or 13-4 without Kawhi going into today's game. And let's call a spade a spade. The Orlando Magic is probably one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. Ever since the loss to the Thunder, which in a game they could have won, they lost by 6 a couple weeks ago. The Magic have been on a tear. They won 8 out of 10. They should have won Friday night against Chicago. And the stretch of games you look in the month of March, they play into the Magic's favor. They literally play, I think, 1 or 2 potential playoff teams between the beginning of February and I think the third week of February by the time we start getting into the late part of March. The Magic really, they play the Knicks, I think, Tuesday. They play the Warriors on Thursday in Orlando. If you think about things, they play New York on Tuesday and play in Orlando against the Warriors on Thursday. When you get out of that stretch, the Magic are at a point right now where they're playing winnable games. There is hope that the Magic can actually be in the playoffs. They just have to win these games. I think they play Cleveland twice. They play the Grizzlies. I think they play the Grizzlies. They play a bunch of teams that are not challenging for the playoffs or not trying to do any type of playoff noise. This is the part of the schedule where the Magic have to win. If they can win, they can pull off another streak, maybe 7 out of 10 in this stretch. I'm including, so starting on Tuesday night, you win 7 of the next 10 on top of the fact you won 8 of the last 10. That puts you at 15-5. That puts you right over 500. And if you look at the standings where they are right now, they're only, 3 games behind Brooklyn. They got a chance of catching 6. It takes a hot streak. They have one now. They're a game out of the final playoff spot. You continue the hot streak and you just win games you're supposed to. Chicago should have been won Friday night. You've got to win these games. They didn't make the trade, so you're all in, so you have to do it. Speaking of the Brooklyn Nets won a huge game on Saturday night. Might have been a controversial fashion, but they beat the Charlotte Hornets in their building at a very interesting end of the game. Hornets fans are a little upset about the fact there was a no call on Kemba Walker. That has Hornets fans really looking simple. The NBA came back and said, yes, it was not a foul on Kemba Walker. After looking at the replay about a good 35 times, I can see it both ways. Most superstars get the call in the situation. Hornets fans are going to say that's the fourth, that's another time the Hornets and the referees have not seen eye to eye. But we all forget the Hornets allowed D'Angelo Russell to score 12 points in the fourth quarter, and some of those points in those baskets were effortless. Guys not getting back in transition. The one he hit for the game winner could have been called for a moving screen, but there wasn't a guy within at least 5 feet of D'Angelo Russell before he launched that three-pointer to give them the lead. There are parts where Charlotte just hasn't gotten it done. The defense has let them down once again. You don't give up 117 points at home and expect to win. That's the second time in a 48-hour period where the Hornets have given up 40 points to an all-star. They gave 46 on Friday night to Bradley Beal. They gave up 40 on D'Angelo Russell's birthday. You can blame the referees all you want to. When you're allowing guys to score 40 points in a game consistently or at any point in time, there's a good chance you're going to lose. And we all know the Hornets don't have that superstar, that thing behind it that's going to get superstar calls. So you have to win games without the referee attempting to help you. That's just what it is. Big shout outs this weekend to a couple of guys this weekend hit the 40-point club. We saw Bradley Beal hit 46 on Friday night against a losing effort against Charlotte Hornets. Zach LaVine had 42 against the Boston Celtics on Saturday, and Lauri Markkanen had 35. The Bulls literally went in and punched the Celtics in the mouth to have Kyrie Irving. We have to ask Kyrie Irving these questions on a regular basis. But once again, Kyrie is being Kyrie, saying, listen, we're not worried. I'm on the team and this is how this is going to work. We're not worried. As long as I'm playing, there's no reason to worry. And Celtics fans, yes, you're right. You're fighting with Boston for 4. But really, this might be the best matchup for you. The Sixers I don't know if the Sixers can beat you guys in a series. And we all know how much the talent level Boston is. Now, honestly, does Boston want to play Milwaukee around 2 or you want to play Toronto around 2? That's just the real question. Right now, Indiana, I know Indiana's one of the hotter teams in the NBA, and Indiana's playing some very, very good basketball, very underrated. Wesley Matthews had a great game, had a really, really his best game in a while. I think it was Friday night when they won on Friday. And again, I think I want a whole 15-minute podcast without discussing the Lakers. And I think I'll go on a 15-minute podcast without discussing the Lakers. That'll be for another day. So let's get the plan for the week going on. This is the weekend edition of the show. I will be back on sometime Monday, and we're going to be dropping pods all week. There'll be articles coming out the rest of the week. We're going to be talking a whole bunch of different topics. Yes, I will discuss the Los Angeles Lakers once again on a podcast as LeBron James, and his whole situation out there with the Lakers. There'll be talks, this week. I'm talking about Portland later on this week, Oklahoma City. And then we'll just discuss, the week will come across, how's the week come across. There'll be all these different topics in the league going on. So we are extremely excited for the week going on. So here's all the different places you can follow me on social media at Danny3 Thompson on Twitter. Follow Around the Association on Facebook, as well as aroundtheassociation.com. Please, please, please like, share. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We are on Spreaker, which is the hosting format and everything else. So leave your comments below. Pass along. It's been a good weekend in the NBA. You'll catch up my article come out later on today, which is on Monday. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.